everybody. It is Tuesday. We call it a birthday hangover day. It's also True Crime Tuesday. And that means just one thing. We're going to do a show, yes, but we're going to take it a little easy today. We also have a little bit of a Michigan Paracon hangover. And yeah, there's a little con crud. So we're going to do an extended Dumb Crime Stupid Criminals today. So with that, we need a co-host, as Jess and Mally are both wrangling chillin'. And I'm wrangling chipmunks. They forgot what I looked like, evidently, over the small time that I was at Michigan Paracon. So I had to bribe them with many treats to get them to remember what my face looked like. It's hard to believe that 5 days in chipmunk years are actually, I don't know, like 4 years, I guess. I don't know. I guess they thought I was gone at war. I have no idea. With that, we bring in our co-host for this week, which is a good brother of mine, Travis Thorpe. How you doing, Travis?
I'm doing wonderful, Tim. Apparently a lot better than you.
I know. How is it chipmunks forget you after 5 days? What's that all about?
It's because they didn't tie a little yellow ribbon
around the old oak tree. Well, I don't think they totally forgot me, but they just looked at me like, "Why did you leave us?" Pardon me. I have the cough drops in, so I can properly talk to you without choking my behind off. Yeah, it was bizarre. They looked at me like, we know you, but why did you leave? And I told them I had to go away on business. And they said, "What's business?" No, I think people think I think that they talk, but
just slip them some Xannies along with some nuts next time, and they'll be fine.
So they pass out while I'm gone. Meantime, intern Yoko thinks that they've died, and that's traumatic enough. Yeah. So before we get to the big show here, here's what's going to happen for this week. We'll give you a little bit of an idea of what's going to happen for the week. Today, Dumb Crime Stupid Criminals. Tomorrow, encore presentation. We don't do them very often. I'm not a big fan of them. I'm a fan of original material, but tomorrow we call it Birthday Wish Day. So you may remember the interview with Steve Vai. We're going to re-air the interview with Steve Vai tomorrow with a little additional material with it. It'll be the same interview on the video side. So there's that. By the way, I still owe you guys the video versions at darknessradioshow.com from last week. Those will be up during the week. It was a busy week with Michigan Paracon, so you've got video coming, in case you're wondering. Let's see here. And then Thursday, Susie Ammerman will be with us from Opus. And we'll be talking about past life regressions. We'll be talking about alien abductions and people who have been through alien abduction trauma and about putting them in regressions. We'll be talking about other psychotherapy that has to do with the paranormal. So, very interesting interview with Susie Ammerman. That coming up on Thursday. So, lots of good stuff coming up this week.
So, Timmy, if you're releasing the videos from last week, does that mean I need to start wearing pants?
No, I can only see you from the top up. So,
all right, good.
By all means, my friend, be American and fly your freak flag and be free. And who says I'm wearing them? I mean, who says I've ever worn them ever? So there you go.
Some people say they see a shadow of Nessie.
Yes, that's right. That's a private joke, my friend. Literally a private joke. Now, see, you're going to make me explain the joke, and I really can't explain the full joke. Let's just say I told one of the organizers of Michigan Paracon that the talk I was doing there had to do with a certain body part. Yeah.
It'll be our little secret.
That's right. He asked me what my talk was about, and I said, it's just to say my talk rhymed with my talk. Yeah. It was all in fun. Yeah. And that I had a mole on it that looked like the Loch Ness Monster, and it did voices. So, yeah.
And it sounded like this.
I'm going to need about tree fitty.
I'm going to need about tree fitty.
Yep. So on the big show today, we've got Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals. By the way, Michigan Paracon, good time, folks. If you didn't get out to Michigan Paracon, well, shame on you. Because you can get out there next year. Oh, darn it. You can't get out there next year because this was the final one. You see what I did there, Travis?
Yes.
Yeah.
I kind of feel robbed.
Why? I mean, they've been saying for months now it's the final one. I mean, you know.
We'll just have to do it somewhere else.
No.
No?
It's done. I say that facetiously. People would be like, oh, what do you mean? Folks, they gave you ample time. They really did. Yeah. And even, you know, it's kind of funny. Okay, so at the con itself, there was one person who got so irate they screamed at Brad Blair the opening day, one of the organizers. And that's a little far. Right? Who pays for a ticket, shows up and screams at the organizer the opening day? You got to do this again. Relax.
Yeah. There's a lot of work that goes into events like this. And
Oh.
I've only gotten to help with one dealing with the security side of things. And even at that was a bit of a nightmare.
And if you can imagine, this is the biggest paranormal convention anywhere. I mean, this hosts thousands of guests. You've got hundreds of vendors. You've got 3 huge ballrooms full of vendors. Okay. It takes up an entire casino. I don't, you know, and it's every year. And the way it works is they used to have to start organizing the day after it ended. And this went on for 15 years. So, you know, I can imagine it's a tiring job. You know, it would take an entire committee of people and the casino committee to plan this thing.
Yeah.
So you need a break. You know, you at least need a break. And you never know. I mean, even as they were starting to shut things down, there was a little bit of talk of maybe in a couple of years coming back in a smaller format. But, you know, yeah, let them have their time off, you know?
Everybody needs a break.
Yeah.
From time to time, it can be a bit of a repetitive process that can burn some people out. And, you know, you need to give people some space and some time to regroup and put out a better event if they wish, or even a more intimate event.
But boy, what a way to go out. I mean, this weekend was quite the weekend. It was really, really fun. What a fun weekend. What a historic weekend. I mean, it was just, what a perfect weekend. I mean, they do it so seamlessly over there. And so it seems so effortless. For as much effort as they put into it, it seems so effortless that everything just runs so smooth. And that's a testament to the job that they do over there.
Well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
And I see you came back with a face tattoo as well.
Yes, I did. Yeah. I decided to go the Tyson route while I was out there. So, when in Rome. No, people are going to have to watch the video to find out if that's true or not.
Good marketing ploy.
Great marketing ploy. When in the suit, get a tattoo. Yeah. So there's that. Let's jump into Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals, shall we? We'll do a little bit more post-mortem on tomorrow's show before we get into the Steve Vai interview. So there you go. Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals. Today on the big program, we started off with a bit of a story that I got from a couple of people this week, Trav. By the way, if you have a story for Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals, Tim@darknessradio.com. Just submit it there and we'll get it on the big program. A few people sent this story in. Meth worth nearly $6 million found in fake watermelons at the U.S.-Mexico border.
I feel like this is a reoccurring theme. I feel like last episode there was something like that with celery, wasn't there?
Yes, celery. Yeah. And before that, it was lettuce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're seeing a reoccurring theme of a lot of narcotics being shipped through fake produce or with produce.
Well, it says here, imitation fruits and vegetables are the latest sophisticated tactic for Mexican cartels to smuggle drugs into the U.S. Everyday fruits and vegetables are some of the latest methods Mexican cartels are using to smuggle drugs into the U.S. Recent seizures of methamphetamine suggest around 2 tons of the powerful stimulant, 2 tons, Travis, known colloquially as crystal meth, was discovered recently in packages designed to look like bright green watermelons at the San Diego, California port of Otay Mesa. It was a hell of a mess of meth, I know that much. According to U.S. Customs and Border Patrol protection officials, hidden amongst a shipment of actual watermelons, around 1,220 fake watermelons were found to contain 4,587 pounds of meth valued at $5 million. Okay, imagine this. 4,587 pounds of meth is only $5 million worth.
Well, I suppose, again, because it was seized at the border, right? Mm-hmm. Now, if it made its way past, the belt line and made its way further north, it's going to increase in value.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Makes its way into the metropolitan cities, it's going to increase in value. I feel like meth was always kind of a cheap drug anyway.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Very much so. Yeah.
And if they're looking for any other, maybe I should put my lawyer glasses on.
Yes, please do. If you'll get those out, appreciate that.
Allegedly, if they were looking for a better route, of shipping crystal meth, maybe don't put it inside of watermelons. Put it inside of watermelon flavored Crystal Light.
Oh, there you go.
Whoa,
yeah.
Whoa. Allegedly.
I'll
take donations through darknessradio.com if you want to.
No, darknessradioshow.com.
Oh, yeah, darknessradioshow.com.
There you go. Let's get that right, shall we?
All right, lawyer glasses coming off.
All right, lawyer glasses are off now. So it was hidden amongst a shipment of actual watermelons after a truck driven by a 29-year-old man was selected for secondary inspection. So they got it the second time around. That makes me feel safe. Port Director Rosa Hernandez described the method of concealment as sophisticated. Let's find out how sophisticated it really was. As drug cartels continue to evolve their smuggling techniques, we will continue to find new and better ways to prevent these dangerous drugs and other contraband from entering the country, Hernandez added. The seizure came soon after agents with the Atlanta division of, again, Atlanta here, Travis. The Atlanta division of the Drug Enforcement Administration, or DEA, found over 2,500 pounds of meth with $3.2 million concealed among boxes of celery. This was last week.
Yep.
At a state farmers market in Forest Park, Georgia on August 8th. Well, a couple weeks ago. DEA Special Agent Robert Murphy said the haul was a significant and unbelievable amount of drugs to be shipped at one time and to a destination this far from the border. And then a shipment of celery in a shipping crate was found by border agents at Otay Mesa to contain 629 pounds of meth. The 34-year-old driver there had declared the shipment as celery. In that case, it's weird how they're trying different areas of the country with different, fake produce. Fake produce, yeah.
Yeah.
That came after 3,000 pounds of meth and cocaine were found last year in bins of jalapeno paste that were being transported over the border. Traffickers have also stashed drugs inside of shipments of green beans, sugar, flour, and candy. Border Patrol credits the seizures to Operation Apollo, which is a counter-fentanyl effort that began last October in Southern California and expanded to Arizona in April, focusing on intelligence collection and partnerships. The seizures come as the DEA recognized National Fentanyl Prevention and Awareness Day with an exhibition of photographs at DEA headquarters in Washington, D.C. More than 107,543 people died last year from a drug poisoning or overdose, according to the CDC. Interesting stuff. Yeah. It's amazing how potent and lethal fentanyl is. I mean, just fentanyl in its own.
And again, I stand by my statement from last time too. It's amazing how potent, dangerous, and poisoned all of that rabbit food is. So if you want to be safe, folks, allegedly, just eat beef.
Oh my.
Stay away from all those fruits and vegetable kids, because the only way that you're staying safe and drug free is if you're eating cows and pigs and all sorts of meat
and chicken. Okay? Don't forget about the
fish
chicken.
And chicken.
Yeah.
I just upset every vegan.
You did, yeah. You're not a friend of the vegans anymore, I guess, if you ever were. Interesting. Well, speaking of drug busts, they're doing it right in Canada, evidently. The Mounties, not the drug dealers themselves.
Oh, okay.
This is the epitome of dumb crime, stupid criminals. As Mounties stumble into the largest drug bust in Prince George history. Literally stumble into it because they were called on a breaking and entering charge. They were saying, one person calls in and says, someone's trying to break into my home. Will you come investigate? And the Mounties go, yeah, sure. We'll be right over. And as they go, yeah, sure. We'll be right over. They found a whole blank ton of drugs.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Evidently, when you have cash, meth, and cocaine in the house, you probably shouldn't be calling the Mounties.
Oh.
Yeah. Mounties say that officers investigating a break and enter in Prince George, British Columbia, stumbled on what turned out to be the biggest haul of illicit drugs in the city's history. Yikes. And the pending investigation will likely spread across northern British Columbia. RCMP says officers were responding to a report of a break and enter on Wednesday when they noticed a large number of counterfeit cigarettes on the premises. Well, there's cause. A search warrant was obtained, and police say investigators seized nearly 40 kilograms of illicit drugs, including suspected fentanyl, cocaine, and methamphetamine, as well as about 120,000 counterfeit cigarettes and more than $500,000 in cash.
You know, they would have found more if they would have checked his vegetable cellar, too.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's where it all is. They probably, if they would have walked into the backyard and checked the garden, I mean, it's probably all sitting back there. Yeah. Or the greenhouse.
You got squash growing there, eh?
Yeah, you probably got something back there, right? Those are the worst Canadian accents ever, by the way. Officers also seized more than 11 kilos of cannabis. Yes, that's 11 kilograms of cannabis. And 11 kilograms of what was thought to be a cutting agent, making it the largest drug bust in the city's history. The Mounties went, we got him, eh?
But they had to drop all the charges because that was all for his cataracts.
Yeah, that was illegal stuff. At an event showcasing some of the illicit material, Corporal Jennifer Cooper said arrests have yet to be made as the investigation is ongoing. Cooper also said it was too early to estimate the total value of the seized items. They can't count that high on their fingers, toes, and digits of other sorts. Just saying, it's going to take a while. Drugs likely were meant for distribution across the north of Canada, according to the police. Prince George is the largest city in northern BC with a population of more than 80,000. That's it, only 80,000.
Wow.
Yeah. Gosh, it must be nice to live in Canada. You don't have to talk to your neighbors. And a service center for roughly 290,000 people spread over the province's north coast to Dawson Creek. Yes, there is a Dawson's Creek up there in Canada.
It's a real thing.
It is a real thing. And Fort St. John near the British Columbia-Alberta border, an area covering nearly 600,000 square kilometers. Inspector Darren Rappel, the interim detachment commander for the Prince George RCMP, said it is likely the investigation will involve police from across the entire region, as the amount of drugs seized indicates that they were meant for further distribution. The preliminary investigation would suggest that it is, in fact, gang-related. Oh, you never want to run into a Canadian gang. They're the most polite you've ever met.
Oh, yeah. You know, one time I ran into some of them Caribou Crips, you know. They'll put a hoof on you. You know, it ain't no joke, man. They'll turn you into ass into poutine.
Yeah. When they flash you the moose knuckle, you know, you're almost done. Flash you the moose knuckle. I can't even talk after that one. So oh my God, gang related. I'm trying not to laugh here. They're the only people who would be able to move this amount of drugs. The Canadian gangs, you know. Canadian gangs moving drugs.
Hey, I mean, they gotta have gangs everywhere, man. Right?
How do they move it? By elk? I mean,
they have roads.
Oh, okay.
They do have cars.
By donkey? How do they move that much drugs?
With a lot of huskies and a sled.
Yes, I was going to say that's probably how they do it.
I remember reading that book.
He says police will be increasing enforcement efforts in the area as a result of the seizure. And please, we have a huge Canadian audience. I know we're gonna get emails saying, you know how we move drugs here.
We stand on business, don't you know?
With a 12-pack of Labatt and a Ford truck. That's how we move it.
We got aeroplanes, Tim.
Yeah, we got planes. We know how to move it. And we got gangs, too. They're pretty tough.
That's what Sasquatch is really doing the whole time. Just drug muling across BC.
I'll have you know, they have leather jackets and they got Brill cream and they sing. They're pretty tough, you know.
Oh, man.
You don't want to run into them, Jack.
Could you imagine a whole gang of drug mule Sasquatches just all throughout British Columbia, just hauling kilos? No wonder they never catch them.
Here, try the meth. Try the meth. You'll never run out of energy.
That's why they're able to phase in and out of existence.
I have
all those meth watermelons.
I have to eat oatmeal all the time, but, you know, who needs teeth?
Oh.
Let's move on, shall we? Speaking of having to take planes everywhere, the airlines won't let you fly, evidently, when the entire top of your skull is bleeding, apparently.
That's the top?
Yeah, just the top. That's the headline to this story. Man, airlines have gotten so strict these days. You aren't allowed to physically threaten and intimidate a crew member. You aren't allowed to do any sex stuff. You aren't allowed to complain about the food. And now apparently you aren't allowed to fly if your head is bleeding.
Man, just take the train, guys.
Yep. Amtrak's pretty good. So is the Greyhound bus. In fact, as one man recently found out, it can even get you arrested when you try to fly with your head bleeding. It's true. Eugenio Ernesto Hernandez Garnier is now in custody after he refused to get off the plane when crew members decided he was leaking too much blood from his head. This according to Miami's Local 10 News. When Hernandez Garnier boarded his flight from Miami to Las Vegas, he had a bloody forehead and was wearing a dirty bandage. That's quite poetic. I don't know if you know that or not. Bloody forehead, dirty bandage.
I'm just sitting here like trying to figure out like does his parents own like a line of shampoo or like who hated him? Because like his name, I mean, he probably deserved it just based off of his name. That thing was like
Eugenio
138
Ernesto?
syllables long.
Yeah. Eugenio Ernesto Hernandez Garnier. I can see Michael Buffer announcing that at some UFC deal.
Oh man. I mean, like the name almost has this air of like pomp and circumstance, and I could imagine him running his mouth and catching the ones and twos, from the Caribou Crips.
Oh yeah. Well, you run into the Caribou Crips, everyone's getting the ones and twos. You're getting the old moose knuckle upside the head. Just saying. For some mysterious unknown reason, the crew didn't like that. The fact that he had a bloody forehead and a dirty bandage. They asked him to clean himself up and replace the bandage. But he didn't have another bandage. At that point, they reportedly began asking him to get off the plane because they were worried about him getting blood everywhere. And also because they were worried about his health. Yeah, they were worried about his health, sure. Instead of getting off the plane, Hernandez Garnier and his companion, Euladis Blanca Loyola, pushed back. Now that's a name. Saying that if they could not fly, no one else can either. Now that's just selfish.
Yep. See, again, I think he deserved it. Whatever happened to him.
By the way, I'll show you his picture in a minute. He looks like a video game character.
Oh, I'm excited.
She also claimed that he had recently had surgery, and although the, spoiler alert, arrest report didn't specify what kind of surgery it was, the Independent claims it was a hair transplant. You don't bleed like that from a hair transplant. Not saying I know,
wouldn't
but
know.
Yeah. I don't claim to know that with as bald as I am, but I'm just saying I don't think that happens from a hair transplant. Crew members warned them that they would be arrested if they didn't get off the plane, and eventually that's exactly what happened. Unfortunately for the rest of the flight's passengers, American Airlines, oh great, it's American, so they handled it with tact and couth.
They're very demure.
They are. They're Miss Manners over there at American. American Airlines ordered everyone else off the plane and delayed the flight. Both Loyola and Hernandez Garnier were taken to a nearby hospital to be evaluated before being transferred to a local jail. They've both been charged with trespassing after a warning and resisting an officer without violence. Let me show you a picture of the video game character and his lovely lady as they were booked.
Oh, wow. You were not lying.
Yeah. Doesn't he look like something out of Grand Theft Auto?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Looks like somebody that came off of GTA.
Yep.
Yeah. Holy cow.
Yeah. I don't think he's real.
He does look a little plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that an entirely exposed scalp? Am I seeing that correctly?
It kind of looks like it, doesn't it? That's not a hair transplant.
Brains.
It does, doesn't it?
I wouldn't let him on the damn airplane either.
No, I wouldn't.
He was scalped.
Yeah.
That's not a hair transplant. That's a scalping.
Well, I think he's got like a tight fade, so it looks like his scalp. But no, he's got a real tight curly hair up top.
Ah, okay. Because over the camera, it kind of looks like brain matter.
It kind of does, but no, he's got a real tight fade. But still, even if you were doing transplants or you were transplanting hair, it wouldn't bleed like that because I know if you're just listening to the podcast, you can't see the little trickles of blood that are coming down his head. But I mean, even if you were wearing a bandage and the bandage were dirty, I mean, the amount of gauze you'd need or rolled gauze you'd need to rewrap your head would be quite extensive. I mean, you're probably talking about $25, $30 worth of bandages. I know because I've had to wrap a foot before. Just telling you how much the bandages would cost. I'm just saying, I'm ballparking it here, but I think I know. Anywho, speaking of flights, we've got a couple of flight stories back to back here. A man seemingly boarded a Delta flight. This is kind of creepy. Boarded a Delta flight without a valid ticket and was kicked off when a family said he was following them.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now, you know how hard it is to get into an airport anyways these days, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just to get past any gate without, I mean, even to get through TSA.
Right.
Is almost impossible without a boarding pass. But this guy got all the way to a gate and onto an airplane without a valid ticket. It was kicked off when a family said he was following them. Bizarre. Here's the story. A Delta Airlines passenger told ABC News that a man followed her family around the terminal before boarding the same flight as them without a ticket for it. Laura Benton, her husband, and their children, aged 9 and 6, were flying from Washington Dulles International Airport to their home in Georgia on August 2nd. She told USA Today that the man seemingly followed her and her daughter into the bathroom. My heart started beating immediately. I didn't know what this man's intentions were, Benton told ABC News. He was standing in the ladies' room washing his hands, and I was immediately alarmed. I would be too.
Yeah.
Benton said that the man even appeared to follow the family onto their flight and sat down in the same row. She told ABC News that her husband confronted the man, who claimed it was his allocated seat, but when they called over a flight attendant who requested to see his boarding pass, he couldn't show one. The man was subsequently escorted off the flight. A spokesperson for the Transportation Security Administration told Business Insider that the man had a valid ID and a boarding pass for a different flight, which is how he got past the security checkpoint. The man has not been named. In a statement to several outlets, Delta said it is investigating the matter and has been in contact with airport authorities. Delta has processes in place for gate agents and flight crews to verify that individuals on board aircraft prior to departure are customers that are booked on that particular flight, it added. Delta did not immediately respond to requests for comment sent by Business Insider outside U.S. working hours. In a statement shared with BI, the Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority confirmed that police were called to the gate of a departing Delta flight. Police addressed the customer and no charges were filed, they added. The passenger exited the aircraft and returned to the terminal to continue their journey. USA Today reported that authorities said the man appeared to have mental health issues. A number of similar incidents have been reported in recent months, with automated ticket gates and tailgating of other passengers linked to them in a number of instances. On August 4th and 5th, the same man managed to sneak onto 2 planes at Munich Airport in Germany. On the second occasion, he flew to Sweden before raising suspicions as he immediately wanted to return to Munich. Bizarre.
Oh.
Yeah. In March, a man was arrested after prosecutors said he boarded a Delta flight using a photo of another passenger's ticket. Wow.
This doesn't seem like mental illness in the regard of just not knowing.
Right.
This now seems to be quite the pattern.
Yes.
And using somebody's photo of a ticket to try to go, like, he's trying.
Yes.
He's trying to probe the system. He's feeling it out.
Yeah, he is.
That's scary.
Yeah.
You know, the anti-terrorism stuff, you know, in me is like massive red flags on this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
A month earlier, another man boarded a flight at London Gatwick Airport by tailgating another passenger's through checkpoint. Or tailing other passengers through checkpoints. Sorry, I read that wrong. Kind of scary, Travis. Here's the deal. You know, with electronic, and this has always been something with me, with electronic boarding passes now, I've got to think it's got to be easier to copy the technology or steal the technology. 2 things make it easier. One, it's very easy to transfer things from Apple phone to Apple phone. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now it's just simply getting an Apple phone within distance of an Apple phone to transfer information. I mean, you do have to have willing participants to transfer that information. But I got to think there's got to be a way around that. Someone's got to have a pass around that, especially any hacker.
I would agree. I mean, like, it wasn't even, a week ago that they had announced that the Social Security Administration had been hacked, and that literally every single social security number that has ever been issued ever has been compromised. Like every single number, right? If they could pull that off, I think they can dupe the TSA.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think that we have become too reliant on the ease of technology, and it's compromised a lot of physical security issues that we need to actually start looking at, like why it was a good idea to be a little bit more inconvenienced holding a piece of paper. Right. Why it was, yes, technology makes things easy, but it also makes it easy for people to manipulate it for nefarious means.
I still like paper boarding passes. I don't like doing the technological route or doing it on my phone. I prefer to, rather doing the ease of early check-in or whatever, I like doing the paper boarding pass and taking care of it when I get to the airport.
Yeah, why do the early check-in and bypass a lot of the security measures and everything? Like, it's the only time I ever get touched. It's going through TSA.
You get touched. I just want
a hug.
Try having Charcot foot, my friend. You've never been searched like that in your life. Holy cow. I'm
gonna start showing up with a boot on just in case.
I'll lend you a brace or a boot one time if you ever want to really get searched.
Yeah.
Boy, I'll tell you, my adventures in TSA this past weekend were epic.
You want to come into this room real quick with me?
And then the smaller the airport, the deeper the search. Let me tell you. I haven't been handled like that since my last desperate girlfriend. I'll just put it that way. Huh.
You mean this is free?
The one guy goes, okay, so I've got rivets on my, I'll make this quick. I've got rivets on my Arizona brace, right? And the one guy goes, he shows me the graphic on the screen. I've got a very red area right in the groin, right? And then I've got, I don't know why, probably because it was very warm that day, right? And I've got the rivets area, which shows up yellow. And he goes, on my Arizona brace. Well, of course I do. There's rivets on my Arizona brace. So when I go through the scanner, that's gonna pop up. I don't know why my crotch is red. I told him, I don't know why it's red. No clue. He goes, well, that happens sometimes. But he goes, but I am going to have to, I'm going to have to do a manual search. I'm going to have to use the back of my hand. I'm like, that's all right. As long as you buy me dinner first. And I laugh, just to, break the tension, whatever. Not that there's much tension there, but, he's got to do his job. I got to do mine.
Did you get a second date?
No. And I never got his phone number, which was very disappointing. So, he does what he has to do, whatever. But I thought it'd be obvious with the rivets on the, but instead of, because they let me wear my tennis shoe, I've got a tennis shoe and an Arizona brace. And I go, okay, do you need me to remove the shoe? At first he says no. And then he goes, well, maybe I need you to remove your shoe. Okay, well, I offered the first time, he didn't take it. And then the second time he goes, okay, well, maybe I'll need you to remove your shoe. Well, you patted me down 8 ways to Sunday around my groin and my ass. I felt like a prisoner, to be honest with you. But I'm always willing to go along with it because I don't want another 9/11, right? So you can pat me down as much as you want. Go to town, buddy. If I got to do nuts and butts, let's go, right? Because I know I'm not packing anything. So if you got to do what you got to do what you got to do. I don't care. Right.
Well, the argument is he thought you were packing something.
And maybe I am, brother. Maybe I am.
We're going to have to check out that red zone, Tim.
I just know eventually Nessie's going to scream, if you know what I mean. So that's a private joke again. But the brace should be an obvious thing, right? You would think. I mean, what am I going to pack in a medical brace? I mean, I know I could pack a lot in a medical brace if I wanted to, but it's not like I can fully remove it, and you should be able to tell if I'm trying to stuff something in it.
Well, I mean, they're packing tons of meth in produce,
Right.
right? And, how many times in a prison environment do you see medical equipment becoming weapons?
True.
Right.
Yeah, true.
And even concealing them, right? A lot of, music venues and stuff like that. You get shivs and shanks and stuff like that are hidden in canes or in walking braces, underneath soles of shoes. There's so many ways to bring these things in, right? That they cannot just assume that you actually need it for medical purposes.
True. Very true.
Right.
Yeah. I just, I don't know. I'm a middle-aged man. What am I, but I get it. I hear what you're saying. There's no such thing as a unassuming and safe person anymore. So
yeah, and in the most part, working in that field for a long time, I will say a lot of it, I do agree, is security theater.
Yeah,
the theater is enough to keep most of the barely actors from acting. The state actors that are going to do what they're going to do don't care. They're going to do it.
Yeah.
Whether you got all those measures there or not.
Yeah.
So in that regard, it's just to keep the honest people honest, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. And the honest people, honestly, would never think to go to the extremes that the wicked would do. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd say that, what you find in a lot of anti-terror security measures, whether it's behavioral detection, it doesn't matter, right? You will find that 90% of it is more so to catch illicit drug activity. You're going to catch a lot of narcotics rather than somebody that's out there trying to commit ill will. So really, I mean, it does a great dent in the narcotics trade, but doesn't really do much for our actual physical safety.
The thing that kills me out of Sault Ste. Marie is they're looking for people trying to get fudge out because fudge looks like C4.
You got to be kidding me.
No. That's their big thing. So they tell people, make sure you declare your fudge because fudge is their big thing. They sell a lot of fudge out of Sault Ste. Marie. So make sure you keep your fudge out and don't have it packed in your bag because it looks like C4.
Wild.
Yeah. And if you do leave it in your bag, they'll pull you aside.
Now I've played with angry putty before, yeah, it's some fun stuff, but yeah, fudge that looks like C4. I mean, that's a really light colored fudge.
Well, no, it's just the block itself looks like a block of C4.
Oh, I suppose.
Yeah. So they absolutely lose their shit.
Well, if you really want to have fun with them, get some like small birthday candles and shove that in there. It'll look like a blasting cap. Oh, they'll lose their fucking mind. That'd be great.
That would have been fun. Birthday fudge and then put it in the backpack on the way out. It's just my birthday treat.
It's my birthday fudge.
Leave me alone. It's my birthday treat.
They're like, no, you're trying to blow up the airport. Listen here, John McClane, or John McCain, either one.
Either one.
We'll take a quick pause for the cause right here. More Dumb Crime Stupid Criminals coming up in just a bit. Welcome back to Dumb Crime Stupid Criminals and True Crime Tuesday. On a Tuesday, Tim Dennis, Travis Thorpe with you, and more Dumb Crimes Stupid Criminals. All right, our next story. You've heard of this scandal before. It's not really a scandal. It is a scandal, but most people don't realize it. But two men have been indicted for allegedly damaging ancient rock formations at Lake Mead. You know, a lot of people go camping and they think it's kind of cute to do whatever they're going to do in national forests or national parks, but they don't realize that the cute little things they're doing on video and putting on TikTok are really prosecutable. Well, unfortunately, these two men may be potentially going to jail for what they did at Lake Mead. Two Henderson, Nevada men have been indicted and are set to face trial for allegedly damaging ancient rock formations at Lake Mead. Payton David Guy Cosper, who sounds like a dick.
Yep. Again, here we go with the long names.
Yep. And Wyatt Clifford Fain, who sounds like a chode, were arraigned on Friday, and both men pleaded not guilty to one count of injury and depredation of government property. According to allegations in the indictment and a statement from the U.S. Attorney's Office, on April 7th, 2024, the men pushed chunks of ancient rock formations over the edge of a cliff near the Redstone Dunes Trail at the Lake Mead National Recreation Area, causing damage in excess of $1,000. Just the action alone sounds chode-worthy.
I mean, it's such a young guy thing to do. It's like you see a frozen lake that just froze over. You want to grab a stone, a big heavy stone, and throw it through that layer of ice just to watch the ice break, just to watch the splash of water, right? If you saw a nice sized boulder and you're at an edge of a cliff, you kind of want to toss it over the edge and see what kind of, destruction happens. I can understand that young testosterone-filled mindset. But where I wonder is, did they ever come across any signage when they came there that said, do not touch nature, right? Don't touch these rocks. Because if they didn't, I mean, how would they know?
Well, I think we're about to find out. It says here, there were no signs posted at the entrance prohibiting pushing rocks or that it was a federally protected site, according to Ross Goodman, an attorney representing Cosper. Mr. Cosper did not have any knowledge that pushing a boulder was unlawful until the U.S. Marshal showed up at his house 4 months later, Goodman said in a statement to CNN. Brian Pugh, the attorney representing Fain, said the justice system presumes that all accused of a crime are presumed innocent unless proven otherwise in a court of law. This applies to Mr. Fain. Jury trial is set for October 8th. The defendants could face up to 10 years in prison if convicted, according to a release from the U.S. Attorney's Office, District of Nevada. The National Park Service investigated the case. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office, the men were arrested by the United States Marshal Service. Damage to the federally protected formations, which were shaped over time out of 140 million years old sand dunes, is irreversible. Recreation area spokesperson John Haynes called the destruction appalling. Why on earth would you do this to this area that's so beautiful? He said, it's one of my favorite places in the park, and they're up there just destroying it. I just don't understand that, Haynes said to KVVU in April. The vast recreation area covers 1.5 million acres of breathtaking mountain views, canyon trails, and 2 vital reservoirs that extend across the Nevada and Arizona border. Water sports at the Lake Mead Reservoir are a major draw for the park's 6 million annual visitors, but extreme drought in the West has caused the lake's water level to plummet in recent years, exposing sunken boats and several sets of human remains.
Spooky.
Yeah.
So really, they're just suing these kids or going after them financially and criminally for this because their tourism is dropped off the freaking map because the water's all dried up. And they're finding like human remains at the bottom of the lake. So they're like, oh, nobody's showing up to the forest anymore. Nobody's showing up out here to the reserve anymore. Oh, we got to come up with something. Hey, these kids on TikTok, they pushed a boulder down a hill. Let's go hose them for a couple of grand. I don't know. I think the article said, Tim, there was no signs. You can't prove intent. They didn't know. I mean, I'm good with this one. I say protect these kids.
I don't know. We might agree to disagree on this one because I'm of a mind of this. If you're in a national park or know that you're in a national park, keep your hands to yourself. I mean, come on. Do you really need to throw a boulder over the side of something when you're in somebody else's house? If I come over to your house, Travis, and you have a lovely home, do I really need to throw your couch through the front of the house, through the window, through your picture window?
It would make a really good story, Tim.
I mean, essentially, that's the equivalent of what it is. Oh, you have a lovely home here. Let me chuck your recliner through your picture window and see what that would look like.
Well, I mean, like, I got to bring out the allegedly glasses for this, too.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So allegedly, there was a soldier, and his last name may have rhymed with mine. And he may have been at JRTC in Fort Polk, Louisiana, right before Katrina came through.
Okay.
And this soldier may have been in the driver's seat of a Bradley. And for the listeners that may not know what a Bradley is, basically looks like a tank, but it's made to kill tanks.
Okay. Right.
This alleged soldier was very bored and sitting there for hours on end, waiting for this other element to come and ambush and attack them. And it wasn't happening. And so we're all bored, or excuse me, allegedly the soldier was bored. And this soldier gets on the radio and asked his Bradley commander, hey, do you think this thing could take down a tree? And that Bradley commander may or may not have said, I don't know, try it. And so that soldier may have looked at said tree and then stomped on the gas pedal while the Bradley rocked back and jutted forward and took a mighty blow against this sacred tree as it came cracking down to the ground. And then immediately the Bradley commander said, let's get the hell out of here before we get in trouble for this. To then allegedly a soldier then pivot steering on said tree and throwing track on a Bradley and then getting stuck there for 16 hours trying to put track back on a Bradley for making a dumb decision in the woods. See, karma does get us.
Oh, yeah.
And so, yes, where I say these kids, maybe innocently, because they're just being testosterone-filled children, right? They're being young men doing testosterone things, right? Mm-hmm. Karma is biting them. They are going to have to pay their fines, and they're going to get shamed publicly for what they did.
Yeah.
But they shouldn't go to jail. Not until they put signs up, Tim.
Okay, well, I think the signs should go up immediately then. At least, yeah. But, okay, counterpoint. There are signs in other landmarks in national parks that say said violation. So it's not like this is a new phenomena or a new law.
What if this is their first time ever going to one? Because like as their attorney said, in that location there were, right?
Yeah.
There was no signage. So if they've never been to any other national park, they never had maybe a good male role model. They never had a Tim Dennis to hold their hand and take them around and go, this is how we respect nature, kids. Mm-hmm. Right? You know, maybe it wasn't in their life. You know, first time.
Well, okay, I see what you're saying there, but
or off to the gulag. I mean, whatever.
Or off to the gulag
for crimes against nature. Off to the gulag with you, child.
Well, it's not just regular nature, though. It's not like you know, you're comparing a tree to something that took 140 million years to form, right?
You didn't see the tree.
You know,
allegedly
100 to 200 years, 140 million years. I mean, there's a little bit of a difference. I think, you know, a year in jail ain't too bad compared to 140 million. Just saying.
I mean, if that site was so important to so many people, you'd think they'd spend the $40 to put a sign up.
They should have. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, you're right on that one.
People are stupid. You have to put signs on coffee saying, "Don't drink when it's hot. May cause injury and burn."
Because let's face it, sorry, gang, people are stupid.
Right.
Yeah.
So we can't entrust this beautiful natural environment that, you know, with all these very vulnerable rocks that just might fall to some testosterone filled 18 to 20-year-old kid who's making a TikTok video. maybe let's spend the $40 and put some signage up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right on that. Yeah. Yeah. There should have been a sign there. You're right.
Yeah. I say federal government loses this one.
But then again, I know there's no such thing as common sense, but you know, etiquette and good manners say we don't pick up the 140 million year old rock and throw it over the cliff. Mom and dad should slap their hands. No, Johnny. No.
Well, I mean, but isn't every rock 150 million years old?
Not necessarily. No.
No. I mean, like this giant rock we're all floating on. You know, I mean, like the whole thing's old. Should we be punishing the
you should have the glasses
company
on right now.
Yeah. The allegedly glasses. Sorry.
Yeah, you need the allegedly glasses on.
I mean, allegedly,
Yes.
this whether you think it's a saucer or you think it's a boulder that's hurling through space, whatever. Allegedly, this whole damn rock is super old, right? So should we be jailing every construction crew that's putting a road
Now
through
you're
your
just
city?
going too far.
I didn't see a
You're
sign
out of
there,
order,
Tim.
sir.
And they're just putting a new road in.
You're out of order, sir. You're out of order. This court's out of order.
Yeah, they're going to put a road right through Lake Mead.
It'll be interesting to see how all your listeners feel about this debate. They're like, burn the witch.
You're going to be like, Tim's a goddamn crying liberal. Hike up your skirt, Timmy. Just a fucking rock.
Just a rock.
Just a rock. Get over it. It's not like they live or breathe or anything. Next week, there'll be a story. Rocks breathe and live and scream when you throw them over a cliff.
They're gonna hire the Canadian Caribou Crips.
That's right. We got our moose knuckles. Our next story, we've dwelt on this way too long. Our next story has to do with, speaking of being battered, has to do with food. Let's good. Yeah, let's switch topics. I think our next couple is, no, actually this story has to do with food, but but boy, oh boy, we love a good food story here on Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals. Ravioli a la battery wrap filed in a sibling beef. Gosh, that sounds delicious. A 21-year-old woman pelted her sister with the Italian delicacy. I have to show you a picture real quick before we. You need to get the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She for sure threw in some ones and twos on that. Yeah.
And it's probably good ravioli. It probably wasn't the Chef Boyardee kind, but let's get into it and find out. When police arrived at the residence, evidence of the ravioli attack was splattered on the victim, according to an arrest report. And the latest food attack plaguing the U.S. I love how they put it like there's a plague going on of people being hit with ravioli. Chef Boyardee is getting over on this one. A 21-year-old woman, angry that her sister would not share grub that she brought home, was arrested on a ravioli a la battery charge. Cops say that Nakia Davis got mad at her blood-related sister after the victim did not allow the defendant to have any of the food she delivered to the pair's Florida home. Oh, of course, we're in Florida. The Miff's sister, cops allege, retaliated by throwing a plate of raviolis at her sibling. When a patrolman arrived at the Clearwater property, the victim still had sauce from the raviolis on her. God, I'm hungry for Olive Garden now. You know, some people say, oh, Olive Garden is such trash Italian food, but it's so good.
Oh, man. Yeah, my wife makes fun of me all the time because I love like the more white trash you can get with the food, the more I'm attached to it, right?
All right.
You could take me to a fancy restaurant and be like, oh, here's a really good lasagna or here's a really good ravioli. And I'm like, no, just give it to me from the can. Like, I'm good. Like, I just want canned, highly processed, 1,000 chemicals that's going to give me cancer, right? Like, I just want to eat Lunchables for the rest of my life.
I just love me some Olive Garden. I do love Rocky would kill us right now. Hey, Rocky
ain't here right now.
Hi, Rocky Stucci. When you hear your family, we love Olive Garden. But I absolutely love a good Olive Garden dinner. You're gonna hate me for saying that, but
I like it too.
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with it.
No,
it's delicious.
It's good trashy Italian.
Yeah.
I mean, I love your Russo brothers too, but I love Olive Garden even more.
Yeah, and if you're feeling like a troll that day, but you don't want to hit Facebook, just have them keep grating cheese.
Oh, you know what I tell them? Like a good snow-covered mountain. When they come around with that cheese grater, I'm like, just keep going, sister. Just keep going until you got carpal tunnel. That's what I tell them.
Man, if I was one of them, I'd just be like, here.
Yeah, just let me do it. Come on back when there's nothing left in the little tunnel. Yeah,
they got to wheel an entire wheel out to you.
Yeah, bring the whole cheese wheel over, sister. I'll let you know when we're done.
And by a little ravioli with your cheese.
And by the way, bring a good colon doctor over because I'm gonna need something for the blockage. Probably a scalpel because I'm going overboard. You're going to have to crack me open here as I'm not passing this big block that I'm about to put on my salad.
I'm just wondering, like, what was the amount of ravioli that caused the fight, right? Because, like...
Oh, let's find out.
Yeah.
Davis reportedly admitted to the ravioli tossing, which, by the way, ravioli tossing sounds like something you do in jail. Which was witnessed by the victim's boyfriend. Charged with domestic battery, a misdemeanor, Davis spent a night in jail before being released Friday afternoon on her own recognizance. A judge has ordered Davis to have no contact with her sister. The arrest report does not indicate what kind of ravioli was used in the alleged attack or whether the pasta was coated in a tomato, pesto, cheese, or butter-based topping, nor the serving size. My guess is if she came home with it, it had to be... Now, here's the deal. Now here in Minnesota, you have buka, which has a family-style serving, which is meant for 4 to 8. So it could have been a big bowl, which would have been plenty. Or she could have come home with leftovers, which would have been less than a full serving. In which case, you probably could have said, no, I don't have enough.
I'm gonna dive back into my law enforcement experience on showing up and responding to domestics like this. Mm-hmm. I would wager a month's salary that it was 3 cans of Chef Boyardee basic tomato ravioli, right? Based off of a key, like they changed the story a little bit towards the end where they're like, we don't know if what kind of, but at the beginning they said the ravioli was on her, right?
Right.
It was still on her shirt. So if it was still on her shirt, it's not just the noodles that are on her shirt because the noodles are going to fall off, right? Like if it's ravioli, it's got weight to it. It's going to fall off.
The sauce was there.
That it was tomato sauce.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it stained her shirt. So I'm going to guess we were talking Clearwater, Florida.
Yes.
Right. We're not talking Martha's Vineyard here. Right.
Well, there's some good restaurants in Clearwater.
So I'm going to guess that these were cans of Chef Boyardee. Right. And she was hungry. And the other sister was like, no, this is for me and the mans or whatever. You ain't getting anything. Right. And she got pissed off and then threw the whole thing at her sister. And voila, here we are talking about it now. I'm going Chef Boyardee. Month salary.
You don't think maybe she was working at a restaurant, brought some home from the restaurant? No?
No, because she wouldn't have been that angry over food not being shared. Because if she worked at a restaurant and afterwards she was bringing home food, she wouldn't be angry that food wasn't being shared.
Okay.
She would have just ate. She would have ate at the restaurant and then brought food home.
Okay.
I don't think contextually that fits. I think The other sister had ravioli, wasn't sharing, as the story indicated, right? It was about the sharing is caring.
Yeah.
And she didn't share. And therefore, voila, 1s and 2s. Caribou Crip, let's go.
Caribou crap. Moose knuckle. Pow.
Moose knuckle.
All right. Well, our next story has to do with a cop that's landed on the wrong side of the tracks. And of course, we're going to stay in Florida. The headline here is "Don't Do It." Florida cop who allegedly caused death of 4 civilians and dragged restrained teen finally fired from department after tasering a fellow officer.
Wow.
Yeah, he really did it up well.
Go big or go home, I guess.
That's right. The way Sergio Perez sees it, he should not have been fired this week from the Opa-locka Police Department in South Florida for tasering a fellow officer as a practical joke. You ever, when you're on the force, you ever tase a fellow officer as a practical joke?
Here comes the allegedly glasses.
Okay.
All right, we're going to have a little bit of story time here, Tim.
Okay.
Allegedly. My field training officer, to constantly keep you on edge, would take the cartridge off of the X26 taser, turn it on, and then try to catch you when you weren't looking. Try to catch you while you're typing a report in an alleyway or whatever. If you ever had your window down just to get a little bit of breeze and fresh air, he would start clacking it, throw it through the window into your lap. What's going? Allegedly, around the same time that I was a law enforcement officer in Kansas, right next to us was a military installation called Fort Riley, Kansas.
Yeah.
And there was a bunch of military police officers that got in a crap ton of trouble because they were playing taser tag. And so at about 10 to 2 o'clock in the morning, when nothing was moving around on some of those outer perimeter roads on the base, they were doing upwards of 88 miles an hour, throwing tasers through each other's patrol vehicle windows to get each other. And then eventually a couple of them got, destroyed. So they started switching it to Chemlight tag, where they would take those little glow sticks and throw them through each other's windows. And that caused, I think it was like 6 vehicles to crash.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So yeah, cops are dumb and we do a lot of dumb stuff. And yeah, you would catch somebody like dozing off or not paying attention, and you would hit them with a drive stone with the taser, like, pay attention. That could have been your life, and it's always played off as this is a training scenario thing for you, like, hey, ninja, you need to always be alert, but yeah. And if you get caught, then you get in trouble. So allegedly glasses are coming off.
Okay. All right. We'll get back to the story now. Says that was just a minor incident after all, at least compared to other incidents he has committed over the almost 2 decades working for one of the most corrupt police departments in Miami-Dade County, including getting charged with battery for dragging a mentally ill teen down the stairs, as well as getting fired and rehired after chasing a car down the wrong way on the interstate, leading to the death of 4 innocent people in a separate car. Stuff happens. That's, The tasering incident, by the way, took place on September 1st, 2021, when Perez was a captain and walked into Sergeant Michael Steele's office, pointed a taser at him, asking if he wanted to be certified in using the taser, which would have required Perez to taser him. Perez later told investigators he was only joking, describing his behavior that day as camaraderie building, of course. Captain, don't do it, Steele pleaded as he squirmed in his chair, but Perez tasered him anyway. The prongs, however, did not penetrate his body because they were covered in Velcro for training purposes. Stop acting like a baby. You know that didn't hurt, Perez told him while laughing in amusement, according to the Miami Herald, which reviewed the internal affairs documents. But Steele was not amused and took himself to urgent care to get checked out. He also reported the incident to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, which led Perez to get charged with misdemeanor battery in January of 2022. However, the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office dismissed the charge in January of 2023 after it was revealed that Steele told doctors at the urgent care that Perez had tasered him by accident, contradicting his statements to investigators that he was deliberately tased. But Steele had already been fired in October of 2022 for grave concerns regarding legal implications of retaining him, according to documents reviewed by NBC Miami. And now Perez has been fired after a lengthy internal affairs investigation determined Perez violated 7 departmental policies by tasering his subordinate. 7. I think he has a little taser problem.
It sounds about right. You know, you always tell me I can drop one or two, so I'm going to go ahead and finally drop one, right? I mean, it sounds like Officer Steele is a bit of a baby back bitch. But because, I mean, look, to be tasered certified, right, you have to take a full 5-second ride. Okay. Now you can get 2 choices, right? You can either get them alligator clipped to you like a little baby, right? You little baby, and go to my alligator clipped. Or you can stand up in court later on and go, yes, Your Honor, I know exactly what it feels like because when I was certified, I was shot with the probes and took the full 5-second ride, right? Like most real officers do, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm just saying it's part of your certification. You're already used to it. You know what it feels like. You know what it does to you. Right. And if these were training ones that had the Velcro that just, you know, like it's not even penetrating your skin, bro. Right. You know, like I'm just I don't know. I hate to side with the guy that we know is a douche. But Steele, you're a baby back bitch. All right. Okay.
All right. Okay. Mr. Perez's actions violate the trust placed in him by our city and raises considerable doubts about his ability to be trusted with the powers we grant to our police officers here in the great city of Opa-locka, said city manager Darvin Williams during a press conference on Wednesday. But Perez is claiming he was fired by reporting corruption within the department, which is why he is confident he will be rehired. And if history is any indicator, he will likely succeed. Unfortunately, the police chief and the city manager have turned a blind eye to the corruption I have reported, Perez told the Miami Herald. Despite Perez's troubled past, he is not the worst cop to have ever worked for the Opa-locka Police Department, which patrols a mostly black municipality with a population of fewer than 20,000 people. Opa-locka encompasses an area of 4.1 square miles and has one of the highest poverty rates in the country. In the country. I almost said county, but it's country. That honor goes to, I believe it is German Bosk, who was recognized by national media as Florida's worst cop when it was revealed that he had been arrested and cleared 3 times, as well as fired and rehired 6 times before he was fired a final time in 2021. Bosk had been working for the Opa-locka Police Department for 15 years by the time Perez was hired in 2008, but despite a 23-year age difference, the two had much in common. Both had been kicked out of police academies before eventually graduating, and both were fired from their first jobs at a local police agency before they were hired by the Opa-locka Police Department. Perez was kicked out of the academy in 2006 following an arrest for impersonating an officer. He was then hired by the Miami Shores Police Department, but fired after he was arrested for drag racing while off duty in 2006. Bosk was also kicked out of the academy in 1990 for impersonating a police officer after he was caught carrying a fake badge. He had been working as a dispatcher for the Virginia Gardens Police Department, hoping to be hired as an officer after graduating, but he ended up being fired because of the arrest. The charges, however, were eventually dismissed. Both officers found a home in Opa-locka, where they earned reputations as abusive cops. In April of 2013, while Perez was on patrol, he attempted to pull over a car for making an illegal right turn. But the driver of the car, Willie DeMel, tried to elude him by driving the wrong way on Interstate 95, prompting Perez to pursue him on the interstate. DeMel ended up plowing head-on into a car, killing 4 tourists instantly. Perez was fired after an internal affairs investigation determined that he had violated departmental policy by pursuing the car the wrong way on the interstate, but he was later rehired. Then in 2022, he was arrested on a charge of misdemeanor battery stemming from a 2020 incident where he and another officer were caught on video dragging a mentally ill teen whose feet and hands were already bound down concrete steps in front of the home. But a jury acquitted him earlier this year. Perez plans to challenge the latest termination through his union's collective bargaining arbitration process, as he's done in the past, and his attorney Rick Diaz said he plans to sue the city. I think the city of Opa-locka will live to regret the decision of firing him, Diaz told the Herald. I hope they have a big insurance policy or a lot of money in reserve.
Wow. I mean, I'm just saying, I think I know where I'm going to apply if I ever want to get back into law enforcement. Because apparently you can get away with a lot down there.
Opa-locka is the place to be, my friend. Opa-locka is the place to be. Let's just say a lot gets overlooked. That's for sure. Speaking of being overlooked, Florida is evidently the place to be if you want to be overlooked both as a police officer and a criminal. Because this criminal, this Florida man, has been booked into jail for the 75th time following a Lowe's barcode scam.
Oh, okay.
So they haven't locked this guy up and thrown away the key yet. His 75th booking. I don't know how many times you have to be arrested before they just finally go, you know what? You can't be rehabilitated.
Yeah, usually around the 8th to 10th time of a similar charge. It's called a habitual violator. And that's usually where they just toss you away. 75 times or 78? God.
Yeah, 75 times. How old do you think this man is after being arrested 75 times?
For a Lowe's scan. So he's scamming things through the system there. I would not put him under 18 because that's not an 18 and under type crime. And I wouldn't put him in his 80s. I'm going to guess 26 to 34.
This man is 57 years old.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
We go to Hillsborough County, Florida, where a 57-year-old man has been apprehended for the 75th time after being accused of a barcode manipulation scheme targeting Lowe's stores in Hillsborough County in Clearwater, Florida. Despite this individual's lengthy criminal history, he still not has learned his lesson. I believe I said that right? He still
yes.
He still has not learned his lesson. There we go.
I done heard you right.
I done not learn nothing. We will not tolerate habitual offenders, really, who continue to prey on our community. Well, you didn't get them the other 74 times, so hopefully 75 is the right number.
It was the magic number.
According to Sheriff Chad Cronister. The Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office stated that their organized retail theft unit uncovered that 57-year-old Mark Brentz was switching barcodes on items or scanning cheaper products to avoid paying full price at Lowe's. Deputies reported that this scheme allowed him to deceive Lowe's repeatedly. Additionally, investigators found online advertisements posted by Brentz promoting stolen items. HCSO reported that Brentz defrauded Lowe's of over $4,500 in merchandise across 10 incidents. Working alongside the Clearwater Police Department, the HCSO conducted a covert operation leading to Brent's arrest. According to officials, on August 21st, Brentz was apprehended after driving recklessly in a black Nissan Altima with an improper tag. There's a shock. At the time of his arrest, Brentz was already on probation for felony fleeing to elude. Brentz has been accused of an organized scheme to defraud less than $20,000, retail theft of $3,000 or more, and a felony petty theft. HCSO stated that Brentz has been in prison 11 times and has been to jail 74 times since 1985.
Wow. That man has been in jail literally as long as I've been alive.
This man loves the food so much, and the solitary time, he can't get enough.
I can only picture like Talladega Nights, Bobby's dad.
Ricky Bobby?
Yeah, Ricky Bobby's dad. Just like, you ain't first, you're last, son.
If you're not first, you're last.
Remember, Dad, when you taught me, if you ain't first, you're last? I never said that. That sounds stupid.
Yep. That must be Ricky Bobby's dad, Mr. Brent. All right, we're getting to the not safe for work category of our show. So here's the deal. If you got kids listening, I don't know why they're still listening, but pry them away from the listening device, put them in a closet somewhere, because chances are if you're listening to the show, you might have that type of personality. No, I'm kidding. And then if you're at work, get the boss away from the listening device or put in your earbuds. And by all means, this is not going to be work material we're about to dive into. In fact, we're about to dive into body parts, slurs, and everything else you can't mention at work. And that's coming up in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Speaking of slurs, that's where we're starting out on this Not Safe for Work edition of Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals. Of course, we're going to Kentucky, the state that... The state that starts out with a little Southern charm and a little hospitality, if you're lily white. I know, I'm going to get letters from Kentucky. Look at this little bit of Southern comfort right here.
Oh, I'd let her hawk to her.
You let her hawk to her?
Tell me that's a man.
What?
Break my spirit because I'm in love already, Tim.
Okay, it's a man. No, I'm kidding. No, she's she didn't break my spirit, it says here. I don't know, that's the headline from Lexington, Kentucky at Lex 18. Permanently banned Kentucky student recorded drunkenly attacking a black student employee and unleashing barrage of racial slurs pled guilty to multiple charges this past week.
Ooh.
Her story is a colorful one. That's the only time we'll use the word colorful negatively in this story. I'm kidding. No, we won't. It's very offensive. A former University of Kentucky student who was banned from campus and hit with criminal assault charges after a recording of her drunkenly attacking a black student employee and repeatedly using the N-word went viral in 2022, pleaded guilty to several charges on Monday. Sophia Rossing, now 23, showed up to Fayette County Circuit Court with her attorney to admit to disorderly conduct, alcohol intoxication, and four fourth-degree assault charges that prosecutors seek to punish with 12 months behind bars and community service, also recommending a PSA at her former school about the perils of drinking to excess. Now that's a punishment. I think she should also do a PSA about what it's like to be an a-hole. But yeah. But I guess you can't dish that one out in court. While Rossing in November of 2022 tried to enter a University of Kentucky dorm, Boyd Hall, without her student ID, Kyla Spring was working behind the desk. What happened next was caught on video and remains online to this day. Spring could be heard saying, "I don't get paid enough for this," as she blocked Rossing from getting onto an elevator, and the defendant repeatedly called her the N-word, flailing her arms at Spring while struggling to keep her balance. "What did I do to you?" Spring asked, before Rossing continued spewing racial slurs. Spring would later say that Rossing also kicked her and said things like, "It's not my fault that you're black. It's not my fault that you're ugly, and do my chores."
Oh, my.
Yeah, it's tough to be privileged.
Yeah. You know, earlier in the show, we talked about guys with the big long names being douches, right?
Yep.
Probably deserved things that happened to them. I instantly feel very icky for liking the look of this chick because now she just seems like the most disgusting, filthy piece of shit that's ever walked this earth.
I was going to say, you still want her to hawk to her?
I mean, no. Allegedly.
Allegedly. Are you putting on the glasses now? Allegedly. After someone in the background of the video could be heard saying, "You just ruined my life," Rossing responded, "No, I didn't," twice. She then called the person recording an ugly ass N-word, and then stated, "That's why you can't get a job."
Well, she ain't going to have a job.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to find one in the corporate world, isn't it?
Wow. She'd be a receptionist for the Klan, maybe. That's about it.
That right. The Lexington Herald Leader reported that in total, Rossing used racial slurs some 200 times in a 10-minute span.
Whoa.
She knows how to rack up one word real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's not a rapper.
Most teenagers. That's worse than most teenagers on an Xbox game, you know?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I was going to say, she's not a rapper. So there you go.
Yeah.
Thereafter, Rossing was arrested, was fired from her department store job, and saw a student influencer gig disappear. So yeah, she was an influencer on top of it. She was also permanently banned from campus and eventually faced an indictment. By the way, this is her detention center photo. Tell me she wasn't known as Laura Licks-a-Lot inside the jail.
Yeah. Now she looks like the prime character when you think of like just privileged bitch.
Yeah.
Like, my God. I still can't get over that comment of like, do my chores, you know, pick up my like, fuck you. God, man.
Yeah.
Oh.
On Monday, Rossing's attorney, Fred Peters, told WLEX that his client no longer drinks, probably a good thing, is extremely remorseful, and that, well, now she is, and that she read a very heartfelt apology to Kyla during our mediation, because she was forced to. But Spring, while she forgives Rossing, said that words weren't enough to believe the remorse was sincere. No, just no, Spring said about Rossing's claim of remorse. I feel that a person is remorseful, or I feel that a person that is remorseful takes actions that are moving towards proving they are remorseful, Spring said in an on-camera interview, pausing for several seconds when interviewer Lee Searcy noted that Rossing didn't say anything about the racial slurs in open court. That says a lot.
Yeah.
Seeing yourself act in that light is not an easy thing to see, I imagine. So I guess there's still a bit of maturing and unpacking she needs to do with that, Spring answered. So I'll give her the space to do that. I think what she did today is a good first step, she said. Spring said that she was happy that she had an opportunity to tell Rossing to her face that she didn't break her spirit. It was very affirming for me that, she said, it was very affirming for me and what I needed for myself, Spring said. Obviously, what happened to me was very traumatic. There are still good days and bad days, but I'm okay and I'm moving forward, she added. Kentucky court records show that sentencing has been set for October 17th. I think Kyla Spring has the right attitude. You know, she's moving forward with her life. It's kind of hard when you've had that kind of incident to not be somewhat scarred by it. But I think for Miss Rossing, I think she's got a lot of growing to do. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think she needs a complete restart in life because she's broken.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. All right. For animal lovers out there, I have got an absolutely sick story. You're probably going to want to fast forward. This story is bizarre and deranged. I'm going to give you 5 seconds here. 5, 4, 3, 2, and here we go. A 27-year-old Ohio woman killed and ate a cat, according to police. This one is not a culinary delight. That's for sure. Here's what happened. An Ohio woman stomped a cat to death before eating the animal, according to police. As alleged in municipal court complaints, 27-year-old Alexis Farrell, we'll say Farrell, killed the cat by stomping its head outside the public housing complex in Canton, Ohio, where she resides. Police responding late Friday evening to the disturbing incident, which was witnessed by multiple individuals, found Farrell squatting next to the dead feline. Farrell, cops reported, had blood on her feet and hands and fur on her lips. That's just out of a horror movie.
Wild.
Yeah. Court filings do not reveal who owned the cat. Farrell was arrested on several felony and misdemeanor counts and booked into the county jail, where she is being held in lieu of only $100,000 bond.
You know, I didn't think that they, arrested people for eating pussy anymore. Tim.
Oh, God, no. I knew that was coming. I said to myself.
So did she.
And yet she had blood on her lips.
Her name is Farrell.
So it was that time of the month. I said to myself, if you don't pull the trigger on that, I am. But you did. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Her preliminary hearing, by the way, as we tape, was scheduled for today. I don't have an update on the story for that. According to court records, Farrell's rap sheet includes multiple theft convictions, as well as a 2023 felony conviction for child endangerment, for which she was sentenced to 3 years probation. Farrell was sued for eviction earlier this year by the Stark County Housing Authority, but that case was subsequently dropped by the plaintiff. So,
jeez. Yeah. I mean, it takes a pretty sick individual to just stomp a critter in the head like that.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. More humane. There's more humane ways about it.
Yeah.
Right. Meat is meat. Animals is animals. I get it. Right.
Oh, and really,
but, you don't just stomp their freaking head in an alley and start eating them like that. You still have the fur all over her mouth and everything. Blood. It's insane.
Yeah. Plus, if you got a taste for cat, there's plenty of Chinese restaurants around. I mean, you just.
Well, there's gonna be a lot in her cell.
Oh! Again with the pussy jokes. I'm just amazed she left the house to get pussy. I mean, normally you can just get it to come in.
She was just pawing at it,
Oh, come on. And that brings us to our next line of stories. I'm glad you ramped up the humor this way. It makes the next transition so much easier. This one's kind of creepy, though. I don't know why I let off with a creepy story, but you probably because you're being creepy. I'm an angel.
Allegedly.
I need allegedly glasses now. We go to New York, where a border agent was arrested for allegedly ordering women to show him their breasts. Have you been asked to show people your breasts at the border? I don't know. Have you been to the border lately?
I have not been to either border, so
I didn't realize that was being asked at our borders. Now I had no idea. It's like, well, to get in the country, show me your tits.
Allegedly, I'm gonna go work for HSI now.
Yeah, it's a better gig than what I thought it was. We go to Syracuse, New York, where a U.S. Border Patrol agent in New York was arrested for ordering women to show him their breasts and claiming it was part of his official duties.
The federal booty inspector, I bet. Huh?
Yes, the FBI. Yeah. Well, I didn't put two and two together and get six. So there you go. 53-year-old border agent Shane Millen was arrested Thursday on charges that he deprived 4 women of their constitutional right to be free from unreasonable searches. There I put two and two together. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the Northern District of New York said in a news release, according to prosecutors, Millen told 3 women to expose their bare chests to him over a web camera while he was processing their applications to enter the country. A 4th woman was ordered to show him her breasts with her bra on, according to prosecutors. Oh, that's so much better.
Yeah. I mean, you got fentanyl comes in a lot of ways now.
I guess.
Right?
Yeah. The alleged incidents took place in August of 2023. Millen told the women that exposing their breasts was part of the process of being admitted into the United States, but it was actually for his own gratification. There's a shock, according to prosecutors. Millen was arraigned Thursday before a federal magistrate judge in Syracuse and released pending trial. A message seeking comment was sent to the federal public defender's office for Northern New York, which represented Millen at his arraignment. Yeah, that's what it was. It was a complete search, and his seizure was with these 2 hands right here. So there you go.
Well, it raises a constitutional question here. I'm sitting here thinking, I was like, I know a lot of things, but I don't know everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does the United States Constitution apply to non-citizens? So the 4th Amendment and
you're assuming everyone who's coming over the border isn't a citizen.
Well, this is New York, right? And you get a lot of cross-pollination between Canadians and Americans coming back and forth between the border, right?
Right, but they didn't say that these 4 women were non-citizens that were coming over the border.
They also didn't say that they were. And so that's why, like, intellectually, I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, okay, so, yes, you have a 4th Amendment, right, to, against warrantless, unlawful search and seizures. But what about non-citizens, right? Because this is a border issue, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This is a federal agent at a border. And so it makes me wonder. I'm going to have to look that up.
I would think, being that you're in that neutral zone, that everyone's entitled to that right, at least for the search. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I would also assume, right, that would be the case, right? You always try to treat everybody the same as you would anyone anyway, right? But I'm thinking constitutionally, like, as far as the law is concerned, what applies? It's just an interesting, stupid brain question of Travis's here.
Right. Well, let me see. I'm looking up the charge again, because the charge is the constitutional right to be free from unreasonable searches. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that'd be 4th Amendment violation.
Right. So you're assuming that you're on U.S. soil, that everyone would have a right to be free from an unreasonable search.
Well, and typically, I mean, you're supposed to, in a law enforcement setting, treat everybody equally. But then when it gets to court, that's what I'm saying is, like, would it hold up? Right. So the charge can happen right at the beginning, right? Mm-hmm. Because you're like, hey, this is how you should be treating everybody. Right. He could get fired because of the fact that, yes, you're being unprofessional and very uncouth. But then by the time it gets to court, that's where I'm wondering, right? If it's a citizen, absolutely a violation of the 4th Amendment rights, blah, blah, blah. It's very gross. It's disgusting. There's no excuse for what he did. But I wonder if it's a non-citizen, does that hold up the same in court?
See, I would think that would be for the lawyer, the defending lawyer to argue.
Right. Yeah.
Not the prosecution, but the defending lawyer to argue. This person is either is a citizen or not a citizen. If the person is not a citizen, to say, well, Your Honor, not a citizen. Yeah. So why?
Still super gross, disgusting behavior.
Yeah, yeah. But to say, well, even though the behavior is deplorable, they're not a citizen. So where is this applicable? They're not entitled to any of the rights of a U.S. citizen. So why? I mean, you could argue it, but because if we think about it, if the argument for the charge is a violation of the 4th Amendment, right, a constitutional right, mm-hmm. right, mm-hmm. An illegal citizen does not, right, a non-citizen
right? So I should say that non-citizen,
Right, non-citizen,
have a right to bear arms, where a citizen does, right? Because it's a constitutional right.
Right.
So that's where the argument in my head started formulating in this weird autistic way, and I'm like, how does this?
No. I get what you're saying. But I think, I think searches is a more broad term, though, than it would be for like something like the right to bear arms.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah. That's something we'd have to ask a lawyer. Do you have your glasses?
I do. Allegedly.
All right, let's move on to the next story. We got just a couple more stories here in Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals today. A high school football coach is arrested after allegedly reporting a prostitute for theft. Probably not the smartest thing the coach has ever done. He called the wrong play. You'd think allegedly. You think coach, you probably want to put the glasses on for this one. You think coach would have probably let this one go. There's a time, especially in a defensive scheme, where you let them score the touchdown so you can get the ball back and bring it back down the field. Is
that what they do in football, Tim?
I'm sorry, it's a sports ball deal. I should have. Yeah. Travis, for our audience, Travis isn't a big sports ball guy.
Yeah, that's where they got the net.
No.
Right.
It's the only net that's there in football is to stop the kick, the field goal.
So this is the ice water one?
No, that's hockey. That's hockey. Yep. We'll get you acclimated.
What's the one with all the hookers?
That's football. That's what we're on right now. Hookers and blow. That's football. Yeah. And we're in the state for it. We're going to Laredo, Texas. The home of hookers, blow, beer, and cowboys.
Allegedly, Tim.
Oh, no, that actually happened.
Oh.
Yeah. You never heard of the Playhouse?
No.
Dallas Cowboys?
Nope.
Okay.
What's that?
I'll let you Google it. A high school football coach was arrested after he allegedly, there you go, called the police to report a prostitute had stolen money from him. Oh, bad move, coach. According to authorities, Rolando Ramos called the police to report the theft on August 19th. After they arrived at the scene of the crime, authorities said they discovered Ramos was attempting to pay a prostitute for sexual services. The prostitute allegedly took $100 and ran away.
Now, Tim, this segment was called like True Crime, Stupid Criminals, right?
A Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals.
Oh, Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals. Okay, yeah, because I was going to say like this is more like Stupid Victim. Sir, you realize the charge for solicitation of prostitution is probably going to cost you more than the $100 she ran off with.
Oh, right? Yeah. And a reputation and a job, probably.
Oh,
yeah. Oh. After the investigation, Ramos was arrested on suspicion of
solicitation of prostitution.
You got it!
Yay!
Ding, 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 ding.
I won a sports ball thing.
You did. You won a sports ball thing. Sports ball tickets. Laredo Morning Times reported Ramos was a quarterbacks coach for the Figueroa High School Toros football team. My guess is he's no longer quarterbacks coach for the Figueroa High School Toros football team. What quarterback can now take advice from the coach who called himself in because a hooker took $100 from him? And by the way, if you can't keep $100 close to his chest, he's definitely not going to tell a quarterback not to fumble the football. I'm just saying. I mean, if you can't hold on to a $100 bill, you can't hold on to the football.
I hear there's a career for him in law enforcement down in Florida, or in agriculture in Atlanta.
Yeah. In a statement to the Laredo Morning Times, Veronica Castellan from the Laredo Independent School District said, you know, what's funny is they could be LSD, but they're not. They're LISD. LISD immediately placed the employee in question on administrative leave, questioning his sanity. No, I'm kidding. Just that they placed him on administrative leave. Disciplinary action is pending the outcome of a local law enforcement investigation, which I guarantee won't take too long.
No,
I don't know.
Yeah, that'll take 2 weeks tops to have wrapped up, just like he should have.
Yeah, you should have wrapped it up too. Coach put the 100 out like a handoff. She took it and ran like a running back.
And he explains to the SRO officer when he shows up, I wasn't soliciting. I swear, I was just scouting for the next member of our team.
I was scouting for the University of Texas Longhorns. That's what I was doing.
I was just trying to see who's 70-yard dash.
I was helping out our local college.
Oh.
Oh boy, we're going to the Florida of the North, evidently. Minnesota's becoming the Florida of the North. Do you know that?
I mean, I believe it.
Yeah. We are, I don't know what's happening to our state. Second week in a row, by the way, we've now got a weird story. Dumb crime, stupid criminals. This having to do with a wedding photog who recorded a topless bride. She didn't do it on purpose. This Minnesota man is charged with hiding a camera in the bridal suite.
Uh-oh.
Yepers. By the way, if you'd like to see a picture of the perv, here he is.
I was going to say.
No, not of the bride, of the actual perv himself.
Whoa, save some pussy for the rest of us, guy.
Yeah, right.
Jeez.
Doesn't he look like he has to photograph for a living?
Yeah.
By the way, I'm a photographer if you need one. A Minnesota wedding photographer hid a camera in a bridal suite and surreptitiously recorded a woman who was in her underwear with her breasts exposed, getting dressed for her nuptials. That, according to a criminal complaint. Police learned of the video voyeurism when the photographer's wife recently provided them with a thumb drive containing the video, as well as other sexual conduct material that is not further detailed. Upon examining the video, investigators were able to identify the bride who was secretly filmed, as well as the wedding venue, the barn of Chapeau Shores in Albert Lee, which is about 90 miles south of Minneapolis. The video, taken from a very low angle, was shown to the 27-year-old victim, who confirmed that she was the woman recorded. The victim identified Mitchell Ringness, who is 30 years old, as a still photographer, adding that he was not hired to do videography or boudoir photography.
Wow.
I don't think those are services that are offered with a wedding package. The woman gave police photos from her October 2020 wedding that showed Ringness's camera bag with something sticking out. On the seized video, someone can be heard calling the photographer by the first name Mitchell. Ringness runs MR Photography, or Mr. Photography, a Duluth-based business whose website promises to provide you with timeless yet captivating photos and videos that will do justice to your uniquely perfect love story. And while I'm doing just that, we are all going to have a blast along the way. What kind of blast?
Like he's having a blast underneath his desk.
Yeah, he is.
That's insane. So, I mean, good on his wife for seeing that and saying, I married a monster, and turning that directly into police.
Yeah.
That man is a predator.
Yeah, yeah.
That man's a piece of shit.
Yep.
And the allegedly glasses are coming on.
Oh, yes.
Because I grew up around that area. Okay. In a small town called Owatonna. Now, I will say that around them neck of the woods, Minnesota, there happens to be a lot of pig farms.
Okay.
Allegedly.
Where's the home of spam? Isn't that that's Austin, right?
I believe that's Austin.
Yeah.
Yeah. The all I'm saying is they like eat everything but the teeth.
Jesus. All right. What does that got to
Allegedly.
do with photographing women in their underwear and
I mean,
without their permission?
if that was my wife,
Yeah.
he might taste like spam.
Oh, you're saying you might mix them in with a can, right?
You see what I'm saying? You
Yep.
see what I'm saying?
Yep.
With
Yep.
them caribou crips.
Caribou
We're gonna
Crips.
call them with them moose knuckles.
Moose knuckle. Yep. I see. I'm catching what you're throwing down. Yep. Got it. Ringness was charged today. Oh, no, I'm sorry, last week, Thursday, with interfering with privacy, a gross misdemeanor that carries a maximum of a 364-day jail term, $3,000 fine. He's scheduled for September 5th initial appearance in district court. A posting about the victim's wedding was found on Mr. Photography's Facebook page. Cops say, but that page appears to have been deleted in the last few days. Somebody doesn't want to get called out in public. Yeah.
I have a challenge to the internet.
Oh, here we go. Challenge.
Make this man famous. Shut his fucking business down. He has no business ever be behind a lens and being anywhere near your wives or daughters or sons or anybody, because he's a freaking creep. He's a predator. I mean, I might be a creepy guy too, but I'm like a good creepy.
Mr. Good Creepy?
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm like the shenanigans, right?
Okay.
You know, but like that guy is a fucking creep. And you know what? Shut him down. Cancel him. Everybody get as loud as you can. Get all over social media. Share that crap. Shut him down. 'Cause what? A year in jail? You're gonna spend a year in jail for secretly? Like, what other things were on that thumb drive, Tim? You know,
That's a good question.
was it a lot of other secret recordings that they couldn't prove intent because it wasn't at some function that was obvious that it was secret? Was it something involving minors that they just didn't want to say in a publication? This guy, it's not the only time. It's
Right.
not the only time. I guarantee it.
You're right. Well, for those of you who want a head start, Ringness's website remains online and boasts that I've thrived within the industry these last few years thanks to my core beliefs in staying affordable while always delivering quality content and having an incredible support system of family, friends, and an ever-growing list of clients and patrons. My addition to that, and victims. So there you go. So go ahead, get a head start, and check out his website and leave a few comments. Maybe give him a Yelp review, too. Just saying.
The best angle was taken at me in the bathroom. It was weird.
The wedding photos were shit, but the angle he got of me in the bathroom was superb. Yeah, maybe one of those. Okay, so final story today. Dumb crime, stupid criminals. Couple was arrested for a fully nude Florida frolic. Yes, we're going back to Florida. Although, if you're 55 years old, do you really want to be caught in public getting it on? That's my question. Here you go, Trav. Here's the beautiful couple on your screen. What do you think? If you were on the beach in Florida and saw these two boffing, would you want to stop and take a look?
I mean, I'm just saying, I'm trying to imagine it in my brain because I'm weird like that and ADD and I have to picture everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm imagining like a deflated tire and like grapefruits in a tube sock.
Ew.
You know?
Mm-hmm. And does it tickle your fancy or does it deflate your own tire?
I mean, you know, I'll try anything once.
You'd walk over and go, fancy a threesome? You. Here's the story. After being caught having fully nude sex on a Florida causeway, I think that was what the scenario was for Godfather 4. Just saying. And also in front of children and other witnesses.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, bad scenario there. A woman told cops it was always a dream of mine to engage in such a public tryst, while her male companion showed zero remorse while collared. Couple of psychopaths here. After receiving multiple 911 calls, they couldn't have done it at night? Okay, here's where I draw the line. I could see at night, right? Because everybody wants that thrill. I shouldn't say everybody, but some people want that thrill. Public beach, out in the night air, the sand up your ass crack, whatever it is. Okay? Some people have that kink. You want to do it out in the open air with the sand in your ass crack, the rushing water, whatever it is. And the thrill of possibly getting caught. But in the middle of the day with kids around...
This is where we learned she was a daycare worker or something. Yeah.
Oh, we're about to find out. Okay, so after receiving multiple 911 calls around 9 p.m. on Friday, at least they kept it to early evening.
It was kind of, it was dusk. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's the middle of summer. 9 p.m., they might as well have been fucking at noon. I mean, come on. They might as well have had a sandwich on the beach and went to town. Sheriff's deputies responded to the causeway in Dunedin, which is a Gulf Coast city, and discovered couple having fully nude sexual intercourse in the presence of the victims, which included a pair of juveniles who were taking notes on how pathetic it'll be to be in your mid-50s and boning on a beach.
So that's what it looks like when you're tattooed and older.
What is that? A melted leprechaun on his ass? What am I looking at? My God, that's what it looks like when grandparents fuck. On the side of the causeway, cops found 55-year-old Sarah Fazakis and 60-year-old Robert Clark fully nude and on top of each other. Immediately, they looked for a medic alert bracelet and asked them, "Are you okay? Can you get up? Have you broken a hip? Are you two in any danger? Do you need medication?"
They were able to locate them because there was a reflection of light. At first, they thought it was a bicycle with reflectors, but then they found out it was their butt plugs. We're bejeweled.
Have both of you fallen out of your wheelchairs? Have you broken a hip? Have you had a heart attack? Have you had a stroke? How many fingers am I holding up? Wait a minute. Is that your finger?
Their skin just glued together.
Oh my God. I don't know if I can read this line.
Do it. Do it. I triple dog dare you. Tim, do it. Your listeners are waiting.
All right. I'm a journalist. Roy Findon would be proud. Okay, here, I got to limber up for this. Ready? Temperature. Furniture barn. Temperature. All right, I'm ready. Here we go. A witness described the pair's encounter as cracked a sack going to town. There, I did it.
Oh, that's great.
Wasn't it fun? Cracked a sack going to town. All right.
I was hoping for so much worse than that.
That's pretty disgusting for a couple of old kids. Fazakis and Clark, both of whom purchased Florida condos in 2021, are pictured. Well, we just looked at their booking photos, you and I did, and our audience who's watching a video. While being taken into custody, Fazakis stated that this was always a dream of mine, referring to having sexual intercourse on the causeway. Thank you, Sonny. A deputy reported, surrounded by water, the causeway offers spectacular views of St. Joseph Sound. Along with an exposure of sexual organs count, Fazakis was hit with a felony narcotics charge after cops found clonazepam pills inside an Altoids container in her purse. She was freed from custody Saturday after posting $2,150 bond. Now, which one is clonazepam? Is that, that's not Valium.
I think it's a calming agent like that.
Is that Xanax?
I'm not. Yeah, I think it's more like a Xanny.
Is that Xanny?
I don't know for certain. I can tell you, like, as a street cop, when we come across shit like that, all we do is just call poison control. And we go, hey, this is what it looks like. And this is the color and the shape and the size and what's stamped on it. And they're like, it's this. And we're like, okay. And then we all look smart. But really, it's just calling poison control.
Okay. Clark cops say showed zero remorse that multiple juveniles had witnessed this act. He also reportedly declared that the children should be at home and not on the causeway. So Clark blamed the children for being in the way, not that he was in the way of the children.
It all makes sense now. He is a Scooby-Doo villain.
He is.
We would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for you meddling kids.
Jesus. Clark was charged with lewd and lascivious exhibition of his peish, which is a felony. He is being held in the county jail in lieu of $50,000 bond and has been ordered by a judge to have no contact with children, probably because he's a terrible human being. Clark is a registered sex offender, by the way, who pleaded guilty in 2009 to a federal child pornography charge.
Oh,
I told you he's a terrible human being.
I was starting to root for this guy.
He was getting a little on the beach.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you dog a dog for wanting to dog, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, he is a sea monster, and now I don't like him.
He's a chomo. At the time of his arrest, Clark was a civilian Department of Defense employee stationed in Japan. A search of his work computer turned up a series of illicit images, which Clark admitted he viewed for self-gratification. After copying to the felony count, court records show that Clark contended that the child porn images were, to him, a fantasy world, and that he would never cross the line to hurt any child. You lying son of a bitch. Sentenced to 78 months in prison, Clark was also ordered to serve a life term of probation following his release from custody.
I just got a sick, gut-wrenching feeling.
What's that?
His sexual act on the beach wasn't about him and his partner.
That's right.
They did it in front of kids. He was previously arrested for what? Child porn?
Yep.
And he was gratified. He was thinking of those kids.
That's right. And he was hoping to draw kids in to watch. That's exactly
Man. Oh.
Yeah. And he found a woman who was willing to have sex on the beach to do it.
That's why you always do it in a cemetery or inside of an armored vehicle or a helicopter or the back of a police car, right? Like, if I can teach you guys anything.
How many of us have access to an armored vehicle? I'm just asking,
Join the army.
All of us are going to join the army to get the armored vehicle.
For all the armored vehicle sex you want, okay? And free college.
And free college.
They're great stories when you get older, all right? Now, like the public thrill thing, like I totally get it. I've done that, right? And I remember being on duty one night when our dispatchers called us for a suspicious vehicle in the police parking lot. And so we go over there and there is a couple going to town and we got 8 police vehicles surrounding this vehicle with lights going, spotlights on it, everything. We're all knocking on the windows and they're just going, they don't even care. And they're doing it in our PD's parking lot.
Filthy animals.
We're like, just get a damn hotel room. What are you doing?
That's wonderful.
We didn't even cite them. We're just like, all right. You guys got some fucking balls.
Did they finish?
No. Unfortunately, we ruined it for him. It's kind of hard when my lieutenant's banging on their window with a mag light, and I allegedly glasses may or may not have gotten on the PA. There's better places to do what you're doing right now than in the parking lot of a police department. We're all getting a show right now.
You're right. That's completely stupid to do it in a police department parking lot. Who assumes they're safe to do something like that in a PD parking lot?
I'm sure they thought, hey, this city is full of crime and the cops are always busy and they're always doing things like, where they're not at the PD, right? They're out and about chasing bad guys. You know what we do have? Cameras.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
God, what flawed logic.
Oh, yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, do it at like a church.
Oh, yeah. Defile the Lord. That's a good one. Yeah. Because Jesus likes a show.
Hey, church parking lots, middle of the night, nobody's ever around there.
Until the priest comes out and goes, unless you make this a little kinkier, I can't hang.
So we're trying to go down to the beach later.
Yeah.
Do some baptisms.
I could take you down to the beach and baptize you.
Down by the river.
Anywho, that'll do it for today's True Crime Tuesday. Dumb crimes, stupid criminals. Travis, tell people where they can find the big show.
You can find us in the most despicable, most, politically incorrect, most whatever, hateful show on the internet called the American Council for Truth in Journalism. You can find us on X, Facebook, Rumble, and many other places. Just find us on Rumble and X. Like that's pretty much where it's at. Catch us Thursday live. We don't do any pre-recordings. We're always live, so it's right off the hip. 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern, so 9 Central for those of you that are in Minnesota.
Right on. Rest of the week, tomorrow we have an encore presentation. We'll be encoring with rock god guitarist Steve Vai, who Travis recently told me he'd never heard of.
Correct.
Along with the sports ball. I don't know. I got to get Travis out of the house every once in a while. So Steve Vai, the encore presentation tomorrow. We'll also have a little bit more of a postmortem on Michigan Paracon tomorrow as part of some added content as well. And then Thursday, Susie Ammerman will be on the program. She is a regression therapist, psychotherapist. She will be with us to talk about hypnotherapy and to talk about regression therapy when it comes to alien abduction and victims of alien abduction, and hypno-regression when it comes to past life regression. We talk about some other topics as well, and how she conducts Reiki-infused hypno-regression. So it's a very interesting program, folks. She works with Opus, and she works directly with Opus. We talk a little bit about how what she does with her work is it meshes perfectly with Opus. So very interesting program, and I hope you tune in for that and get a little different perspective of how you can help heal if you've been through some of those more traumatic experiences, and help get that help from Susie through Opus. So that is Thursday on the big program here on Darkness Radio. So for Travis Thorpe, I'm Tim Dennis. Thank you so much for joining us today for the best in true crime podcasting, True Crime Tuesday. We'll see you tomorrow for Steve Vai right here on Darkness Radio.